Alright, hey, I just wanted to check in because I finished another book, and that is Ghosts of Honolulu by Mark Harmon and Leon Carroll Jr. Mark Harmon, you may know him from NCIS. I actually didn't know that it was that same guy until after the fact. Normally after I read the book, I'll go and research the author, and that's when I found out who this guy actually was, and it makes a lot of sense that this is just an actor. Dude, he probably is a good researcher and stuff, but we'll get into it. This book is really mainly about one guy, also slightly about another man. The one man, it's both true stories. They're very, very dramatized stories, and very, it feels like the conversations in it are very speculative and very, like I said, dramatized. But it is true stories, but it's told in a narrative-based way. Makes it a little more digestible, I guess. I kind of found that not to be the case for me, but that was the thinking going in, was that this would be a little more digestible for me because it is narrative-based. But anyway, the concept of it is one of the men named Douglas Wada. He is a Hawaii-born native. He's a Japanese man, and it tells kind of his life story. That's really mostly based upon him and his life story of growing up in Hawaii, playing baseball for a while, going and living in Japan for about 5 years, coming back. He ends up working for the military and becomes like a translator, interpreter. But he also becomes somebody who is looking for like Japanese defectors who maybe aren't loyal to the United States. It is before Pearl Harbor happens. The US government is starting to trust the Japanese people on the island less and less, and they make up a good portion of the island. I can't remember exactly how much, but it was like a good quarter to a third of the island was Japanese. So it follows him and how he gets into that position, and it follows him through Pearl Harbor, where he is actually off fishing. He's not even near where the attack takes place, and then the repercussions after, and like the next 5-ish, 6-ish years of him going and helping continue to translate and help kind of convict these Japanese war criminals. That's kind of the overall basic of this story. There is another man that we see every once in a while. His name's Takeo Yoshikawa or something like that. I can't exactly remember. He is a Japanese spy who is in the United States. He's the guy who was, one of the men who was taking pictures of Pearl Harbor and the ships, and providing that information to the Japanese government to try to help prepare for this Pearl Harbor attack. He ends up kind of going on the run, getting away. He honestly gets away with most of it and ends up coming out and telling a story. But we see him every once in a while as well. This is a relatively short book, but I feel like it still has a lot of fluff in it. There was a lot of kind of needless information, especially about like Douglas Wada's father and like some of the random general and officers' hobbies, and it went on a lot of weird little tangents that kind of took away from the overall story, in my opinion, and it made it a little harder for me to follow the actual plot and narrative of the book. And maybe I also was in a negative headspace reading this. I haven't been reading as much as I should, and I've kind of had a lot of other things going on lately, so maybe that contributes to my slight dislike of this book. It felt like there was a shorter story to be told there, but it was pumped into a slightly longer book. And that's not to say that this is a long book. It's like 260 pages, but it just didn't feel like it needed to be as long as it was to get the story across. And like I said, I had some issues with the kind of dramatization of what was possibly said amongst the different people in the story. Now, he does provide sources at the bottom of almost every page. You see little footnotes where he provides sources and things like that, which I do appreciate, but it doesn't... When you tell something that is historic and something that really happened, you don't actually... I feel like you don't really know what was actually said, and a lot of it is based on people's memories or you know how people are, where they want to bloat their story. They want to make it seem a little more maybe intense than it really was. And there's different issues that I have with that sense of just not fully trusting the author. But again, that's just me in this situation. It could just be my own personal dumb issues that I have with the book, but overall, it was all right. I liked the idea of the story of a Japanese spy and a guy who's almost like a Japanese spy hunter. But other than that, it just kind of fell a little flat for me. I would have rather read something that wasn't as narrative based, I think, and something that just kind of was a little more factual. Not to say that this wasn't factual, it just didn't feel as... It just didn't feel as real as I was hoping it would feel, if that makes sense. Also, shout out to my buddy Cole, who bought me this shirt for my birthday a few weeks ago. It says Goddammit Donut with a picture of donuts from Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I have the 6 books here. The 7th one is not out in hardcover yet, but 7th is my favorite book, I think, of the series. That's a side note, though. I just forgot I was wearing this shirt. But yeah, so overall, it was all right. I don't know if I'd really recommend reading it. I think there's plenty of other better stories on Pearl Harbor out there. I haven't read any of them yet, but I'm sure that there's better ones out there. Anyways, I am hoping to get one more book read today and hopefully be able to post it tomorrow. I am halfway through Rage by Stephen King, so I am hoping to finish that off today and possibly have another video up for you tomorrow. So anyways, I appreciate y'all for sticking around this long, and thanks.